Well, hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to something different that helps us with our aircraft builds. In this massive box, we have the QIDI X-Max 3 printer. Now, if you are a fan of the channel, you know that we might have received one of these quite a while ago, and this is a replacement. So looking forward to finally getting to use this machine and comparing it to some of the other ones we have here in the shop. So let's get this thing unboxed. It's, I think, a pretty simple process, comes fully assembled. Let's take it out of the package and get this thing working. All right, so it does come very well packaged. We've got reinforcements that we just took off from the outside of the cardboard box. Everything's wrapped in a nice thick layer of heavy duty bubble wrap around the entire printer. And then there's these big honking pieces of styrofoam protecting everything. But basically fully assembled. Parts box was protecting the top of the printer. Very nice. All right, guys, so we got it out of the box and on the table. Now, I know the looks really don't matter, but I actually really like the looks of this printer. It definitely does a good job competing with what it's designed to compete with. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the rest of the little doodads off. And much bigger build volume. So we have a 300 by 300 build volume, substantially larger compared to one of the other printers we're using. So very nice. So there's a quick gander around the machine itself. So this machine lives over there on our printer table. So our printer table is right there, and we've already got a spot all laid out for it for the QIDI printer. And there's a little quick shot of its competitor. So we're gonna actually get this set up over here versus on the other table. And we're gonna do all of our filming and everything over here because we wanna make sure that it's in its final resting place. And part of the other reason we wanna get it over there is we don't wanna be printing stuff on the wobbly plastic table. We wanna have a nice solid base to have a fair comparison with some of the tests that we're gonna do. All right, so we've got the QIDI up on the bench here. And substantial printer. This is really nice. Of course, that comes with the bigger bed size. So here's a shot of the back. We're just getting everything plugged in. We do have a LAN port here as well too, but it does have Wi-Fi. Power switch is right there. Now the spool is designed to go on the back, but the unit does come with its own dry box. Now the dry box can be mounted on the back, or I guess you could have this as a freestanding unit. And then here's the spool holder, which also holds the dry box on, or you just have your spool sitting on it. So we're getting ready to plug this guy in, and of course there's the filament sensor as well. So we're getting ready to plug this guy in. We're gonna turn it around, and then all of our startup instructions are gonna come up on the screen. And there is also a quick start guide here too if you don't like screens and you wanna read the manual. All right, so we've undone all the zip ties and screws, very simple process. Next thing was to push next and the build platform comes up. There's some foam pieces to take out of the bottom. Now, big upgrade, I think, to the QIDI series here. We've got this big honking piece of aluminum underneath. I think it's aluminum. And that's where the two lead screws for the bed going up and down are housed in. That is really nice. Also really impressed at this build volume again. I think I've already said that, but much bigger than some of our other units here. So the onboard screens are super easy. So the only thing that we need to do on this unit is to adjust the nozzle distance between the nozzle and the bed. So we have to do that with the little piece of paper that comes with it. So when you hit the plus button, it goes right to 66 degrees. We're gonna wait for this to hit 66 degrees and then we'll hit next. Very simple to follow the instructions on the screen. So a couple important notes and observations here is there's this big sticker on the bottom here. Please preheat the bed before printing. So one of the things that I've observed here is the bed is a huge thick piece of aluminum. So when you first turn on the bed heating, as we're doing right now, it's going to take quite a while for the bed to actually heat up to full temperature. So it's just starting to get warm now. It's been about 1.5 minutes, but this surface is not 60 degrees yet. So just keep that in mind. With such a nice thick bed comes a little bit of extra time waiting for it to heat up. So the machine comes with a 0.5 kilogram of PLA Rapido, so high speed PLA. So we're going to load this into the machine now that we've reached that point. All right, so what do we do when we get a brand new printer? Well, we print a Benchy. So this is a preloaded Benchy file on the printer. Actually, the first thing we did was update the printer. So the printer updating is a little bit not as cool as it could be, but you basically load the file onto the USB stick and it goes through the update procedure. Now it's a fairly lengthy procedure. It takes about 20 minutes for the machine to actually do its update, but the machine has been updated to the most current firmware and we are printing a PLA Benchy. So this machine is incredibly fast. When it moves, it's like light speed. Holy crap. So it's just doing the first layer right now. Now it's doing the second layer. So it's doing its thing. We'll leave it be and we'll come back in 17 minutes and the Benchy should be done. All right, so we stopped the first Benchy here. It had a layer shift. So I think what happened, I heard the belt slip. I was kind of questioning this when we first unboxed the printer because the belts seemed like they were kind of loose. So, and they do have a sticker right there telling you how to adjust the belts. So I'm going to adjust those belts to be a little bit more taut, and we'll check and see if that helps. All right, so we've got the belts tightened up, and actually it probably was my issue as well too. We forgot to recalibrate the machine after we did the update. So that's an important step. So that's happening right now as well. All right, so we've redone our programming, our input shaping, we've redone our bed leveling and our input shaping, and we are printing our Benchy. So this is the preloaded Benchy. Everything is just going to be the standard settings, and we are using the QIDI PLA Rapido. All right, so our Benchy printed in about 14 minutes, and it actually looks really good. Really quite impressive. Good layer lines. I mean, this is just the stock file loaded on the printer, but it did a really good job. So quite impressive. So we'll print some of the other preloaded files before we get into our ultimate test here. But there we go. This material had kind of an ABS smell to it. It was interesting, but at the temperatures we were printing at, it wouldn't have printed ABS well. So anyways, that's our Benchy. All right, so if we go here in the files, let's see what else we got here. QIDI G code. So that's the QIDI logo. That'd be kind of fun to print. I don't know what that, oh, the play button's probably to print that. Wild Rose puzzle. Oh, puzzle cube, that's cool. Oh, let's do, this is one of those cubes. Yeah, the movement cube things. Okay, so we'll do this one just to see what happens, see how it works out. So on the Benchy, we didn't use the bed leveling for the print. We will do it on this one. So let's hit the play button, confirm, and there we go. So we will come back and take a look when this guy is done. So this is supposed to take 1 hour and 6 minutes to print. Now, while it's prepping to do our puzzle there, a couple important things. The printer does come with 2 nozzles. So there's a little sticker right there. Can't really show you, maybe you can see it. But the printer is installed with the copper hot end. So if you're using PLA, all those basic materials, You were supposed to use the copper hot end is what's suggested. There is a high temp end that comes with it for abrasive filaments. So that would be any filaments with carbon fiber in it or glass fiber, stuff like that. So this is included in the kit. All right, so the puzzle cube finished in about an hour and 5 minutes. Pull that off. Nice. So if we take a look at it here, we'll see how all the tolerances are. I've never played with one of these before, so I don't really know how it works. I think it's supposed to fold like, yeah, there you go. So things are definitely tight. Although my lack of knowledge on using one of these things is interesting. So that's the puzzle cube. Yeah, looks like everything moves like it's supposed to. So that's fine. This bottom layer here is a little bit tight. Oh, there we go, popped it loose. And popped that one loose. I was just scared to break it. But that looks good. Awesome, so everything works like it should. So we're going to install the QIDI slicer right now and get our next project in the queue. All right guys, so we are doing a fairly difficult print here. This is a paper towel holder box. We couldn't actually print this on the Bambu unit that we have because the build plate's not big enough. So that's one of the huge pluses of the QIDI X Max 3 is the 300 by 300 build volume. So big items like this, we're able to print it, which ends up being about 9 3/4 inches kind of thing. So, all right guys, well, it's the next morning and our challenging print here, it worked. That's pretty awesome. So one of the big challenges here was this massive overhang. This is like a paper towel dispenser. You can see it there from the inside. Did a great job and stayed adhered to the bed very well. The corners are nice and straight. Really, really nice. Obviously this is the bottom layer line right there that you can see, but really nice. Very nice. Time spent to complete this, 10 hours and 59 minutes, which is great. And probably one of the craziest things is I was not sure I would have enough filament, and we have 3 or whatever that is, 2-3 loops around the spool left. All right guys, so we have finished another very challenging print that I printed on one of my other printers previously, and I haven't done anything with that previous print because I wanted to do a comparison between the two. So let's pull this guy off the plate and do a direct comparison between this printer and that printer. So let's take an up close look at some of these prints that we did with the QIDI X Max 3. But first thing I'd like to touch on is the build plate. Now obviously it's a big build plate, 300 by 300 build volume, but this thing is really sticky. So much so that these big prints here that I did that we'll take a look at, when I pulled the print off of the plate, it actually pulled a little bit of the layers of stuff off the plate. It hasn't seemed to affect the plate at all, but really sticky build plate. Okay, so going through some of the things that we printed here, of course we've got our Benchy. Now this was printed with PLA Rapido that came with the printer, and overall happy with this. It worked good. A little bit of flaw there on the bow, but other than that, this was printed with stock 0.2 layer heights, and everything looks fine with that. We printed the fidget cube here. I don't know what the actual name is, but this printed very well. It was a fairly quick print. The print worked well. There was a couple areas that stuck together that we just had to snap them apart, and this worked out good. Then we printed the QIDI logo, which is another preloaded print on the printer, and that was quick, easy, and printed quite nice, again with the PLA Rapido. We'll move the little planes aside, but the next thing we built was this box. Now I did print one of these previously. This is PETG, Bambu Lab's PETG. Now, the one I printed previous to this one, I stopped about 75% of the way through because I realized that I printed it in the wrong size. I was supposed to upsize this by 1 centimeter in all directions, and we didn't, so I stopped it. Then I reprinted this one, and this is the functional one that we're actually going to use. So all in all, printed very nicely with the PETG. Now the infill pattern that I used here was like the cross pattern, whatever it's called. I can't remember the name of it, but it was quite a mess when it was doing the bottom layer here. But when it started going over it with its finished layers, it actually ended up printing very nicely. And I'm not sure if the camera is going to pick it up, but there's like some gold flecks in there. And that is the stuff that was pulled up from the build plate. But it doesn't seem to affect the build plate, and none of it's coming off. It's like stuck to the print. But overall, really nice. The box is fairly flat. There's a little bit of a layer line there where the bottom is finished and we start coming up the sides. But overall, good functional part for what we needed. So the last thing here is our big test that I wanted to do. So before the QIDI showed up, I had just printed this scale F35 miniature model. Now this was printed on the Bambu Lab's XC1 carbon, and there was no supports used in this. It prints in 5 pieces. So you've got the nose, you can see the seam line here, you've got the main body, which prints vertical like that. So the wings print coming out, prints the 2 tail pieces, and then there's a rectangle piece that goes inside that joins the 2 bodies together. So what I wanted to do was have a comparison between this one, the Bambu Labs one, and the QIDI X Max 3. So of course we use the same filament for both of them. So let's take a close look here comparing these two. So overall, both good quality prints. This was printed on fine on the Bambu Labs. This was printed on the finest setting on the QIDI. Now, the leading edge of the wings here, we have the same type of cleanup. Now, I haven't spent any time cleaning up either of these models. All I did was clean up what I needed to fit the front and the back together. So overall, good prints. I'm happy with them. The layer lines are a little bit more visible in the QIDI, especially on the wings. You can see quite a bit right there. But happy with both prints. Now there is kind of a wave line here on the wings and on the tail on the QIDI. The Bambu Labs also has it on the wing, but it's less pronounced. There's one right there. Now I would imagine that has to do with resonance or something when it's printing the wing and coming out to that area. I don't know, but it is a little more pronounced on the QIDI, but both great prints. The seam here is very equal on both of them. The smoothness overall with the print is very similar. There was one little area that the Bambu Labs did a little bit better. There's kind of like a little intake thing right there. The QIDI kind of covered it up a little bit. And if we flip these over and take a look at the underside, and both really, really good looking. We've got a little bit more, again, those little resonance lines on the QIDI print. We've got 3 visible on the tail. On the Bambu Labs print, we've got 1 and 1. So I'm not sure if that's part of the model. As far as the scale model goes, it's not. So, and then wrapping up the back end here, the Bambu Labs is a little bit more refined on the tail cone versus the QIDI. Kind of just have funny points there. So comparing these two, they both are great. Now the one thing the Bambu Labs has going for it is it already has the filament file preloaded in the machine, which has been refined a little bit by Bambu Labs. QIDI was at a bit of a disadvantage with this because it's just matte gray PLA. We didn't do any tuning on the print. All we did was use the stock settings in the slicer. So keep that in mind. I'm sure that this could be refined if we slowed it down, adjusted the temperatures. We've got a little bit of stringing here at the tail end. So, but totally suitable print. And those other prints that we did worked out great. All right, so this is going to be a little bit of the dry section on the features of the QIDI printer, and then some final thoughts on this, this unit. So one of the big things for me that I like about the X-Max 3 is just the overall size. So QIDI calls it an industrial grade printer, also very fast, but you also get a very big build volume compared to, like I've already mentioned, some of the other printers we have here in the shop. So QIDI has made some changes to this printer, which this one features are movement on the axis where the head moves. They are metal, so they are long-lasting units that really should last the lifetime of the printer. The other big change they've made that we've touched on in this video is the all-metal frame construction. So that big honking aluminum beam that goes on the bottom of the printer that stiffens the entire printer. So QIDI does boast very fast print speeds of up to 600 millimeters per second of print speed, 20,000 millimeters per second of acceleration, and 35 millimeters per second of extruder flow. It is nice to see the automatic bed leveling in this unit. Also the resonance compensation is nice as well. And one thing I didn't show was the activated carbon filter. So it comes with a filter bag. There is a fan that forces the air through the filter bag. We have installed the activated carbon filter into the unit as well. So the machine is shipped like this, complete. You basically pull it out of the box like you guys have seen, and with very little to do, it's set up and ready to go. Now the machine does come with two hot ends. Like we've talked about, it comes with a regular hot end, and then it comes with a hardened steel hot end, which you'd want to use if you're using any filaments that contain glass fiber or carbon fiber. Also abrasives is what it's known as. Now keep in mind that the QIDI printer does have a heated chamber. We really didn't have to use that during our prints here, but if you're printing in any very high temperature filaments, this printer will handle that with the heated chamber, also preventing warping, which is a huge plus for the QIDI. So price point on this, you'll have to check the links down below, guys. There is a link in the video description and also the first comment in the video that brings you to the QIDI page. Now, full disclosure, QIDI sent me this printer free of charge to do the review and video on. And if you do use the link that I provide for you, I do get a small kickback if you purchase a QIDI printer. So these are good value, good price printers. Now they are lacking obviously some functions that other printers may include. Some of their competitors in this type of market. The other printer we have here in the shop has a camera. This unit does not have a camera. It can be added as well. That is a possibility, and I don't really have a need for it, but it is kind of one of those things that if you wanted to add, of course, it is totally possible to add to the printer. All right, guys, my final thoughts on the QIDI X-Max 3. I like it. It's a good printer. Everything I threw at it just worked. I'm sure that with some refinement for different filaments and different settings, it's going to be even better. But in my shop here, what we use these printers for is printing specific stuff for the aircraft and projects that we build. And I need something that I can just load the object into the slicer, whether it's my design or somebody else's, and just print it. And I like this printer because so far it's just worked. We did have one of the smaller models previously and they had some issues with it, but apparently from what I've seen, QIDI fixed it. During this test, we put almost a kilogram of filament, actually more than a kilogram of filament through this printer, and it handled it no problem. I'm excited to be able to also use the bigger build volume as well. The 330 by 330 is going to open up a bunch of different opportunities to print larger prints. So very excited to add this printer to the shop and be able to use it in the days forward. So that is a little bit of a review, a little bit of a promo for the QIDI printer. And if you guys are interested in a high-tech, larger volume printer, definitely suggest you check this one out. There's links in the video description down below and also in the first comment in the video section or the comment section, there's a link to the QIDI printer. If you guys have any questions for me, shoot me an email, thelightersideofrc@gmail.com, or you can comment down below. And I'm happy to answer your questions if you have any. So thanks guys for watching. Thank you, QIDI, for sending me this printer to review and add to our shop printer selection. That's it, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.